In the last hour, the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rossello, has announced his resignation. The decision comes after nearly 2 weeks of mass protests, where tens of thousands of people took to the streets over leaked messages that showed him making sexist and homophobic comments. Rossello will be leaving office next month, August the 2nd.
Despite having a mandate from the people who elected me democratically, today I feel that continuing in this position presents insurmountable difficulties. Having heard the complaints, spoken to my family, thought of my children, and in prayers, I've taken the following decision. I announce to you today that I'll be resigning as governor, effective Friday, 2nd of August.
Our correspondent Gabriel Elizondo joins us live from San Juan. Gabe, what's the atmosphere like?
It was celebration, quite frankly. It's a little after 1 a.m. here, local time, on Thursday on the streets of Old San Juan. And as you might be able to see behind me, and maybe even here, it is absolute celebration. Thousands of people packed the old city of San Juan right in front of the governor's mansion, protesting for hours, calling for him to resign. This capped more than 12 days of protests here in Puerto Rico to end the biggest political crisis in this island's history, quite frankly. There are 6 million Puerto Rican Americans, actually, that live on the mainland of the United States. Let's remember, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. Thousands of them have come back to Puerto Rico to take part in what they say is, in their words, a revolution. I want to introduce you to one of them. Come on, step in for me. This is Sarah Echevarria. You're from Chicago, Illinois. You came here specifically to take part in this, is that correct?
That is correct. I flew in Sunday night specifically to be part of history.
What are you feeling right now that the governor has resigned?
Well, I feel a sense of relief and empowerment because we finally made history in getting him to resign after so many days.
You're a Puerto Rican American, of course, live in the mainland. Why was it important for you to come back here to take part in this?
Because after the suffering of my country through the Hurricane Maria and the continuing suffering and the corruption, we need to put a stop to it. And I needed to be part and be with my brothers and sisters and making sure and put my little part to make sure whatever we could do to stop the government from corruption.
Was this more than about the governor, Ricardo Rossello? Did it go beyond that, or was it just about his text messages and his government?
Besides the text messages, which I think was the tip of the iceberg, but it was also the rampant corruption in his government. And we're fed up with the corruption, taking public funds and not trickling down to the people that need it.
What kind of movement was this? On Monday, we saw more than 500,000 people on the streets. Tonight, we saw thousands more. What was this that was happening here on this island?
This was a resistance movement, I would say. Finally, you know, all the power, energy, frustration came out. We had everybody with us. This is what it was. And it's here to stay. We are demanding big changes from our government, not just his resignation. This is going for long. It's an overhaul of government and our institutions.
Last question is, what happens from here? The governor says he's going to resign. That's a victory for the protesters on the streets. What happens now?
Well, what happens now, it's yet to be seen, but it's not just to put another interim governor, which is going to be Wanda Vazquez. We don't want her either. It's got to be clean, it's got to be fresh, it's got to be someone new and genuine and honesty. We need transparency and honesty, but I don't know what the future holds for us.
Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. Do the Puerto Rican people always feel like they've been struggling being a territory? Struggling through Hurricane Maria that destroyed this island? What are you asking of Washington now?
We're asking of Washington, we want our fair share. We want the president to really think of the people and not the government who put us in this situation. We want to be part, and I get it, of the United States, but it hasn't been easy for us because we've been insulted as well by the government, by Congress. We are demanding fair representation and our fair share. And some of us really want to end our state of commonwealth and the colonialism. We don't want that because it hasn't served us well.
Very last thing, the thousands of people that were on the streets tonight, give me in one sentence what that felt like to you when the governor said he would step down and everyone was cheering. What did you feel in your heart at that moment in one or two sentences?
I felt a sense of relief because if that did not happen, we would have had violence on the streets. A sense of relief, a sense of empowerment, and a vindication that this was the right call, and he finally heard us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's just one person you saw there. I think she echoes a lot of the comments that you hear of people that were protesting tonight, a sense of vindication here on the streets of San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Gabe, just before you go, a couple of final points, closing thoughts from you, I guess. I mean, we're talking here, it's not a big place. We're talking about, technically, it's an unincorporated U.S. territory. Once the protesters get what they want, i.e. the current leadership is gone, is there a risk that it's just a case of out with the old, but in with the old? Because there seems to be a generational divide there as well, and there doesn't, on the face of it, appear to be that many untainted politicians waiting in the wings to be offered big jobs.
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty perceptive. I mean, this is an island that's governed by the old guard, if you will. But what you saw here is years old and younger that were out on the streets protesting, and they're saying, we've had enough. We are now going to take our future of our island in our hands. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot here. Does this mean that the future is perfect for this island? Absolutely not. But I think a lot of people here on the streets are feeling, as she just said, vindicated that they won. They were able to go to the streets and demand a governor step down, a governor that they view is not working in their best interest, someone that was insulting them in private text messages, someone that they view as corrupt, even though he hasn't been charged with any formal charges of corruption. And they said, we've taken our government back. We're taking our island back. I think that's the message here. But clearly, the days, weeks, and months ahead are going to be difficult in the sense of who governs this island and where does the protest movement go from here.
And as to that idea, Gabe, you know, who governs the island, thinking about some of your Washington-based reporting that you've done for us here in Al Jazeera, I mean, Puerto Rico, it's hardly on the radar as far as the Trump administration and the Trump White House is concerned. Very much literally, politically, and figuratively kind of at the end of the line almost.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Puerto Rico is a island of only 3 million people, and it's not really on the radar of Washington in so many ways. The representative to Washington doesn't even have a vote in Congress. So this is going to be the challenge in the future here, and I think that's why you saw so many Puerto Ricans take to the streets, because they felt that they were not represented. They are not represented well as a territory of the United States. So this might open up floodgates, if you will, to all sorts of different discussions here on this island about where they go from here on who governs them. They have a local government, and then they have the Washington, D.C. government as well. I think people here...
The record in the world, Puerto Rico is no Venezuela, nosotros is the real duro.
I think what you're seeing here is the emotions of people coming out, basically saying, we are now claiming this island for ourselves. We now want to be governed by ourselves, and we want representation and respect from Washington, D.C.
I think we picked up a bit of a long delay on the line between us and you, Gabe, but we'll carry on with our conversation for as long as the line lasts. What do we think will happen over the next 10 days or 2 weeks? Because the governor has said, yes, I'm going. I'll go on August the 2nd.
Yeah, what's going to happen is after the governor resigns, it was supposed to go by local law to the Secretary of State. But guess what? There is no Secretary of State because he resigned last week because he was caught up in this entire political scandal as well. So it will go to the Minister of Justice, and she, we think, will be sworn in as the interim governor until elections are held November of next year. But by no means is this political crisis over. This is a celebration on the streets of old San Juan right now. We're seeing that. You're hearing that. We've been seeing that here for the last little bit that we've been here right now in these last hours or so. But the fact remains is there is still a lot of challenges on this island. How to rebuild 2 years after Hurricane Maria, how to get the funds they need, who will govern this island, and where will this movement, this revolution, in the words of many of these protesters are saying in their words, not mine, their revolution, where does it go from here? And that is going to be the real question in the days, weeks, months, and really perhaps even in the years ahead. But I will tell you that everyone here on the street said they have seen nothing like this. People taking to the streets, forcing their governor out. They said, we'll think about everything else in the future. Tonight, they say, or in the early morning hours of Thursday, as it is right now here in Puerto Rico, they say this is about their celebration of forcing a governor out, someone that they deemed is a person that had to be out. The first step, they say, in order to reclaiming their government.
Gabriel Elizondo there, ground zero of a developing story in San Juan. Gabe, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.